at 8218. And this is one of my first friends in the industry that I ever met. Save the Terps. Drew has been an international model for how to conduct business professionally in mainstreaming and normalizing his plan. True. Because you can use it for so many things other than cannabis. So shout out to Boveda and his legacy as an advocate himself beyond the brand.
Yeah. What's up, Luna?
Hi.
How
We've
are you?
also been attending NITA events.
Okay, sorry. I'll hold it here.
We've also been attending NITA events for many years, but back when it was at that cute little hotel in Phoenix.
Right? What was that called?
NITA?
The Phoenix or something.
Oh, the hotel.
It was a great hotel. It was
cute.
arty.
It was when the thing about NITA is, and when I travel the world, this is what I tell to everyone is, the power of uniting the industry to create a common voice. Trade organizations have had have become such a dirty word because of the way that they were ran, but it's essential when you're lobbying or investing or trying to even just have a common, press release message like most causes have. If you don't really have a united voice, the regulators, the governmental folks don't know who to listen to. So when I go around the world, I always ask, do you guys have a trade association? Do you guys have a business association, like a chamber of commerce, where you guys are getting together and having talking points and, delegating certain tasks for the movement? I'm an organizer. That's the background we come from, is how do we get it done? And I think trade organizations are really underrated in just getting us in the same room, figuring out, supply chain, networking, helping our businesses, but also just, it's kind of our therapy. Only people in the industry understand what we go through.
Truth.
So shout out to the industry associations, especially the ones that focus on Black and brown folks, Latinos, underrepresented markets in the space that aren't just California or New York. There's other states in between these states that we really need to focus on, and a lot of legacy operators that deserve to have their stories told. So really honored to be a part of NITA, really proud to be part of the team. They employ a lot of women of color, a lot of young women, a lot of career growth. When we talk about including women in the industry, it's not talking about booth babes and models and influencers. We're talking about decision makers, people that you are giving a ladder and a step up in equity in a company and in a brand that can actually really catapult them in financial, energetic, and social ways.
Dude, that's a mic drop right there. Like, she's like, end mic drop. So, we're talking about global expansion. Mr. Murray. Oh, wait, Murray, do you need a mic? Oh, yes. I guess we're doing the handoff thing with the mics. Look, I'm sorry. Like, they had me come in to fill in for you, and then you just came in like a force of nature. And
You're perfect.
I love. Well, thank you.
I love having you here.
I know. We're so good
You're
together.
grounding with your sweater.
All right, I'll take that. Is it me again, or no, Murray? You got to hold it up like this. Okay, here we go. It's like an ice cream cone that you're just smelling.
I can identify that.
Terps.
Yeah, I think because we're doing the double mic thing, there's a little bit of feedback there. So I'm sorry, they just kind of pulled me into this. So I know we're talking global expansion. How does that work, Murray?
Well, before I touch on that, I just want to comment on one or two things that were said earlier today and in an earlier presentation and just now. First of all, I totally get the women in cannabis thing. We've found that women just are great managers, and I know it can vary from situation to situation, but we've made it our point from the day we started in 2012 to employ women wherever we could and to put them in positions of responsibility.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Well,
You should.
They're terrific employees. They really, really do guide us. There's just something about your emotional balance that helps us understand things that are more important than just the bottom line.
Beautifully said.
So we're big fans of that. A statistic, I read an article, I think this was Wall Street Journal some months ago, and it talked about how individuals, say you graduate from college, you have an opportunity to do that, you might end up working serving tables for a while. Turns out after about 2 years, if you don't change from where you are serving tables or working as a line worker into a professional level role,
It ain't happening.
it ain't going to happen.
Right.
That's exactly right. But if you do lift these people up, you give them tools to do their job, you train them, you give them opportunities.
That part, the training.
The training-
We don't do. I'm a teacher. You literally legally, to keep your credential in the state of California, you have to have continued education, which means you have to go like doctors. Like, we don't have that in cannabis. This is such an important point about continued education. In cannabis, we don't. But it's so crazy because we're discovering more and more about this plant than we know about outer space and deep sea. So the fact that we don't have really, that's shout out to Gangier, shout out to all of these educational platforms, because this piece about not training, when we say that you can't just give people raises and promotions if they haven't earned new skills other than soft skills or hard skills within that dynamic. You need to send them to classes. My company goes as far as to send folks who want to do plant medicine retreat trainings. Like, we have a very progressive,
Testing.
like, if you need, whatever you need in your professional development, we don't even judge what that is. We will support you to do whatever that is, whether it's a retreat to, balance your a yoga retreat. These are things that we have to invest in people as a whole body. And that's when we're talking about global expansion, that is going to be the biggest thing, because when you have, especially women who are less educated, less confident, less likely to get that raise, especially in global settings, if we're not training them, they're going to be completely gobbled up by this.
So back to your question. So, but thank you. We're on the same page, to be sure.
Mic drop.
Global expansion. So a gentleman earlier in another session commented about,
This one.
the hemp industry is going to, take over, or we're going to see, migration to that and following whatever rules there are. I personally don't see that. I think descheduling, or rescheduling rather, is going to lead to more rules, more regulations, and we're all going to just have to lift our game. When we started, 13 years ago, if you said standard operating procedure, people just looked at one another.
Oh, what's an SOP?
They didn't even check
What's
their
a SOP?
emails.
You mean
SOP?
like, it's the thing you put on your foot?
Yep.
Yep.
And regrettably, that's still the case. That's still very much the case. So, to the point of expanding internationally, the international market is growing and changing very quickly, but it's not there yet. So your opportunities for actually getting into those markets really requires some understanding of your own market and being able to submit and meet the stringent requirements of any other industry you might be, the pharmaceutical industry, for example. So that means you better have your act together on processes.
Yeah.
Now, while we sell domestically in Arizona the products we manufacture, topicals, edibles, that sort of thing, we truly found that it takes us about 600 processes to just do that in Arizona.
Wow.
That's covering the bases from finance to manufacturing to distribution to testing. It's an enormous body of work that you have to commit to. And you better have that going, because you're going to have to step up by about a factor of 10 to meet the
Global,
good manufacturing
yeah.
practices, which today are largely the European Union
Yes.
processes.
Good luck getting EU GMP.
Oh, yeah.
So
Good
is that the next plan though? Is the next plan to expand out to
For us, it would
Yeah.
be to go to other states.
It's the gold
Okay.
standard.
the gold standard?
The EU
Right.
GMP is the new gold standard.
Really?
It makes us look like trash.
Absolutely.
It makes GMP look like a janitor's closet.
The whole practice is different, but
Yes.
she's absolutely right. It's really demanding to be able to meet those global requirements. This is why companies like Cannabis Growth and Tilray, when they entered those European markets, they went in with a bang. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars.
Lawyers.
They signed up with partners, the whole bit, and they still ended up spending many, many, many tens of millions of dollars after the fact.
Right.
In some cases, because they had to go in and actually improve their practices, make some changes.
You have to learn and adjust. Like,
Well, and also acquisitions, because
Yes.
you have to harmonize across the board
Yep.
the standards and the practices you're incorporating. So, if somebody came to me today and said, "Well, I want to go global," I'd say, "Well, where are you now?"
right.
And if you're not in other states, you can't understand the challenges of operating independently. And then if you are in other states, you better be prepared to hire people,
Yup.
to develop relationships, because it's going to be a real long and hard toll to get there. But it's not impossible. But just know that you really have to be on top of your game with all the practices. You've got to have risk management. You've got to consider HACCP compliance in terms of your manufacturing. All these things that, frankly, are still kind of new to a lot of operations.
Right.
So well said.
Definitely.
Do you want to jump in?
Well, I was just, there was a guy out in the crowd that was giving you
Leon
the
Tillman's
hand heart.
Pacific Dutch Group.
And
He moves more. This guy moves more flour than almost anyone you know.
He's standing out
Talk
there
to
doing
him
the
if you
hand
want
heart.
bulk,
Yeah.
amazing, really good price flour from California and other states.
I thought he was looking at me, and I'm trying to get my attention.
and used to work with Sunday Goods, which was Arizona based, so that's a tie-in.
So I'm enjoying this immensely. I could sit and listen to you guys talk for
Yeah, I feel
hours.
like I don't even want to comment. I'm just like, you
It's
just
so
go.
cool.
Like,
So as far as global expansion for Boveda, We're manufactured in Wisconsin. We're headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Minnetonka, Minnesota. We're distributed in 115 countries. About half of our business is by electronic means, either through Amazon or
E-commerce,
eBay or e-com or what have you.
Drop ship.
Our direct business is managed by a small group of people. We're not a massive.
Very
we're
sustainable.
We're probably 65, 70 employees
Awesome.
in our operation, and then
It's
in our
insane, Drew. For the distribution, I've been
Yeah.
to 44 countries. There is not a smoke shop in the world that doesn't
does
matter
not
how
carry
backwards
Boveda.
that does
Yeah.
not have Boveda.
Yeah, that's
Unbelievable
cool.
saturation.
well, it's a
Well, because
weirdest.
the value, it proves itself. It proves its own
It's the
value.
weirdest thing because you don't. This is great because it's a great job for me because you don't have to be a tremendous salesperson
No,
to sell Boveda.
sells itself.
All
shit
I got to
just
do is
works.
get you to try it.
Right, or dial in the humidity amount. Are you a 64 girl or a 58 girl? Like, that's like your problems that you have is, is it the right fit? But as far as people, no one wants dry weed or dry tobacco.
No,
5 minutes.
we got 5 minutes.
Yeah, go for it.
So go. You got a 5-minute
I already did mine.
countdown.
I'll take one just to say this. Our overall business is not going to change in terms of some dramatic problem with global systems. We're manufactured. We have total control over our manufacturing. We have tremendous ethic within the organization that
Huge.
manufactures our product. We got involved last year with C-Vault and E-Vault. Boveda acquired C-Vault and E-Vault, and that's sourced in India and Korea. And we don't have a problem with that. It came up the other day because of this potential BRICS tariff proposal. We don't think that's going to end up being a problem in the long run because the whole threat of tariffs is all about leverage for the United States, and it's the way it's being promoted. It's not going to. It doesn't appear that it's going to amount to anything for us. I'd be curious of how that's going to affect you guys.
Well, that's why we built offshore production in Malaysia, and trying to move asset light away from Shenzhen because ain't nobody got time for geopolitical drama when we're trying to do business out here.
Word.
Get it together, folks. God.
Yeah.
It was such a dope alliance, and then everyone had to mess it up. But I'm not that mad that people are trying to bring manufacturing. I'm not trying to sound like too nationalistic, but let's be honest. The U.S. and Mexico deserve their shot at producing stuff for the Americas. It's kind of
Truth.
annoying to keep. It's really bad for the environment to keep shipping and flying things from China.
Especially when you can.
And God knows the
locally
conditions and
manufacture,
all
yeah.
these things. So, but in theory, it sucks that my clients pay up for $100,000, invoice, and they're only getting $75,000 worth of vapes when they used to get their full value. So 25% is a lot.
That's huge. That eats.
When you don't have margins in cannabis because we're overtaxed, overcontrolled, overregulated, and we have no margins because we're being robbed left, right, center, figuratively and literally by everyone from the street folks all the way up to the feds. Everyone's getting a piece.
Closing remark would just be take the time to be kind to people. We're in the cannabis industry. The plant has ethics. It wants us to treat each other in a very specific way.
Fact.
Try not to be a dick and go do something kind for somebody.
Yep. Law of reciprocity.
God, that's all so true. So you want to get into the international market? Start with other states. Break into there. See what it's like.
Because they're like individual countries almost.
They
They
really
are.
are,
Yeah.
especially with each rules and regulations and everything else. And even
Yes.
some states are like by county.
Yeah,
Right.
You know.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the difference between California, Arizona, and some other states, there can be quite a spectrum in terms of what the rules require. We also need, I think, everywhere better enforcement of the bad players.
Yep.
And that's the big issue for me in terms of hemp and other things is we have to have good players in the market. We have to have people that know what they're putting in the plant, know what they're taking out, and know what the end result's going to be.
Truth.
And, honestly, I think one of the driving factors in terms of our industry will be all about safety. You can smoke marijuana, all day long, but at some point there's issues in terms of carbonization that occurs. You're smoking that.
Yep.
So there will be long-term health considerations. And so one of the part of the industry is to seek safer solutions that don't have those considerations.
Amen.
It's still early. There's a lot of research going on. But understand your local market, understand your market in terms of other states, and then prepare yourself for a long, harsh, but possibly quite profitable step into these markets that are currently open, which includes most of Europe, Colombia, a few other places like that. some of which have very unusual sorts of programs. Italy, for example, the military is the one that
Yeah, you got to get you got to be approved by the military
you gotta
to
be approved
grow.
to do anything in there. And 2023, they produced
It's crazy.
1,000 pounds of cannabis
Yeah,
for the entire country. It was
Right.
underserved by 70%.
right.
So
Well, they have to be military engineers, don't they? Or like military approved farmers or something
they have
ridiculous?
to be approved.
I know.
But the military is the one that is largely doing the growing.
Yeah.
Now they're currently pursuing other parties to help with
Crazy.
that because they can't meet demand.
Correct.
And that's in fact where probably the cannabis opportunities largely are in terms of cultivation. Is many of these countries are not going to ever go that route of cultivation. They're going to be part of distribution networks from, say, Denmark.
Yep.
Things like that. So your opportunity is then to dive in, hire the right people, train them well.
Yep.
Focus on education, especially the medical part, which is just because California and Arizona and other states, because they've introduced recreational, they've lost sight of the medical. We really need to return to that. And by the way, shout out to MITA,
Truth.
because of the two big organizations in Arizona in particular that support cannabis. MITA is the one that puts the wood behind the arrowhead in terms of education, in terms of training, in terms of providing opportunities,
wood behind
and
the arrowhead,
especially
yeah.
in terms of networking.
Murray
Beautiful.
Stein, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Stein.
Murray Stein in the
Luna
house.
Sauer.
Luna Stour,
Drew
Emmer.
Emmer.
Drew Emmer.
And your
Max
host.
Uhas. I'm your guest.
By the way, I've been to Colombia, Brazil, Chile, South Africa, Japan, Hong Kong, Thailand, Israel this year just for
She's been a couple
international
places.
travel. That's not including Spain or Germany or any of the other. If you have a question about a specific market, look me up on LinkedIn, Luna, S-T-O-W-E-R.
Talk to Luna.
Ask any question you have. I got your back.
She's got
We've
it.
been together in Berlin and Barcelona. We've been through all of it. So don't be afraid to reach out to people that are doing the work. We want to help.
Yeah, but
If
have
we
you
wanna
ever
do it
been
right.
to Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Don't you
Hey,
know?
Don't you know about it? Follow
That's
Mita_USA on Instagram.
Well, thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Photo.